And I want to bring in David Flagg. He's the Navy's National Director of Operations. He was an organizer of today's press conference with Riley's family. David, thank you so much for being with me right now. Let me ask you this. I have been so curious about that river behind you. Can you give me a feel for what that river's like? Is it deep? Is it dark? Is it murky? Is it wide? Is there a heavy current? Like, bring me up to speed on what you're dealing with.
Pretty much yes, 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 and yes. It is deep, it is dark, it's rather murky. The water level has dropped 4 to 6 feet since Riley went missing, and the flow rate has significantly reduced as well. But as any river, you know, a reduced flow rate is a relative term. It's slower than it was, but still capable of sweeping somebody away if they weren't careful.
Well, that's my next question. When you say that the river's down, is that helpful? Because there's presumably more embankment that you could see, and if there is a body, it might be easier to spot.
That's correct. Theoretically, yes. You know, it's exposed some more of the rocks, some more of the brush, things of that nature there. If there were a body in the river, it potentially could have surfaced and come ashore where it would be more visible now.
And how is it that you're determining? I'm just looking at the pictures of divers in the water. I understand they started diving Saturday. Where do you even begin diving? Like, what is it that would plant that flag and determine that's a good spot to start looking?
Well, some of these divers are private individuals, private volunteers who have, of their own volition, showed up to try and help locate Riley. The police department, Nashville Police, has also had their dive team in the water. And primarily it's where is the last place that this person was seen. You have to have a starting point. In this case, the last place that Riley was seen was along the walk on Gay Street here, and with his debit card being found where it was, that gives a logical starting place for dive teams, boats with sonar, potentially cadaver dogs, anything of that nature. But you do have to start somewhere.
I'm seeing some pictures also of a canine that's in one of the boats. How does that work? I mean, I can't imagine a canine on the water, but is that canine just being transported to different areas of the embankments and then doing a quick scan of an embankment and returning to the boat?
No, not necessarily. A lot of the cadaver dogs, matter of fact, most cadaver dogs are capable of picking up a scent of a cadaver that is in the water. So it's a little bit of both. The dog is, trained to pick up that scent in the water, on the water, as well as on land.
So that's fascinating. First of all, I wanted to ask you if there are any other dogs other than just cadaver dogs, maybe a scent dog looking to follow Riley's scent on land. I'll get to that in a moment, but back to the cadaver dog. If the cadaver dog is in the boat on the surface and there's a cadaver many feet down, can the dog actually detect that?
Well, I don't know what the dog's specific limitations are, but the short answer is yes. If there is a body in the water, cadaver in the water, the dogs are capable of detecting that scent.
Do you know of any other canines who might be tracking? Family might have been able to provide something of Riley's with Riley's scent so that they could let them loose in that very small area. This is what, I'm so frustrated. The area where Riley disappeared is small, and it would seem to me you could flood the zone and accomplish a lot on land as well. Have you seen any evidence of tracking dogs?
Well, I personally had some discussions with the investigator from Nashville PD on this, and we discussed the possibility of using tracking dogs, and I also spoke with a local dog trainer who also trains tracking dogs, and it was determined that because of the time lapse between when Riley went missing and the circumstances around it, that a tracking dog would probably not be effective. The other part of that equation is that this riverbank, what you're showing in your picture there, looks relatively flat, relatively easy to traverse, and nothing could be further from the truth. I went down the riverbank with two girls who found a debit card today, and it is absolutely treacherous. I doubt that you could get a dog down that embankment safely with a handler. As a matter of fact, we've had people come forward to volunteer to do a search in that area, and I've decided to turn them away unless they have specific search and rescue training, because it's that treacherous. I mean, I'm not the best guy that's in the best shape in the world, but I had trouble staying vertical down there.
It is distressing to hear that, David Flagg, because it makes me think if you're inebriated, it would be very easy to tumble down into that water. And as you mentioned, faster moving at the time that Riley disappeared. David Flagg, thank you so much. I hope I can get you back on the program to update us as you continue the work.
Sure thing. All you have to do is ask.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.